Ladies and gentlemen, we have been discussing a concern surrounding land ownership and foreign investment in Jamaica. Now, an American activist, Dr. Mark Johnson, has publicly raised a question regarding the Jamaican government relationship with Chinese investors. In this video, we will take a look at these claims and hear what he has to say. I encourage you to watch the video all the way to the end, and after forward, I'll share my thoughts and discuss the issue raised. But before we continue, if you are visiting the channel for the first time, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. And to my returning subscriber and viewers, thank you so much for your continued love and support. It truly means a lot to me.
Please explain how China has strategically taken over control of numerous African countries and Jamaica without the use of military force. What will their domination mean long term?
Great question. I'll pause because it bothers me when I look at Africa and the Caribbean islands. And I just came back from Aruba, and I'll be going later on this year to Martinique, Curacao, and back to Suriname in South America. But it bothers me when I look at the history of how we fought for liberation followed by independence in the Caribbean, only to hand that independence back over to another race of people. So we fought for freedom from the white man, and now we're handing over that freedom to the yellow man. When I was in Jamaica, 2015, I keynoted National Heroes Week, Irie FM and Ocho Rios and Marcus Garvey's back, me and Muta Baruka, actually. And while I was in Jamaica, I heard all these rumblings about the Chinese. And I've been to Jamaica before and I've seen the Chinese. But in studying what they have done since my last visit, I was astounded and appalled to find out that they had made so much inroads into controlling and influencing the infrastructure of the Jamaican people. The Chinese built a road from Kingston, one side of the island, to the other side of the island. And in exchange for the roads that they built, the Jamaican government, unless this has changed since then, gave the Chinese total control over the toll money that will be made by people using the Northwest or East-West Highway. Why would you give a foreign power complete monetary control of the tolls on this road that you know half of Jamaica going to be using? You're talking millions of dollars of revenue you're giving to the yellow man just because he built the road. In addition to that, the Chinese are building it's probably done by now. They were building at that time 2 schools, and they were bringing Chinese educators over to help the Jamaican people educate black children. They built a children's hospital, which is supposed to be largely staffed with Chinese. They also gave the Chinese total control of all tourism on both sides of that highway that goes from one side of the island to the other. I was also told that they gave the Chinese the right to drill in natural rainforests in the Jamaican on the Jamaican territory for Chinese exploitation. They'd given them tax abatements, and they also purchased, if I'm not mistaken, the port, the main port of Jamaica.
All right, they own the port.
Is owned by the Chinese. Exactly. If another race owns your port, that means they control what's coming in. They control what's going out. What about the drugs? What about the guns? What about the COVID? You don't know what them people bringing in. And you mean to tell me that the Chinese care so much about Jamaican people that they're not going to educate our kids and take care of their health? Chinese don't care about black folks. Go to China. Go to China and see how they treat black people in China. So to me, what I think this is the government of Jamaica, like so many African governments, so many other Caribbean governments have done. They've gotten in bed financially with the Chinese. The Chinese have studied the way the white man has practiced neocolonialism throughout Africa. And the Chinese has learned that these black leaders don't really care about their people. They're all about their pockets. So I'm going to do what the white man did, but I'm going to do it one time better. I'm going to offer them double the money. You let me take over this land right here. I'll get the white man offering you $1 million. I'm offering you $3 million. And I'm going to build you a retirement home. And I'm going to pay for all your kids to go to college in China. You follow what I'm saying? And I'm going to give you a private military. So the Chinese have basically become neo-colonialists 2.0. They're outdoing the Europeans. You follow me? And they're giving Caribbean and African leaders offers that they can't refuse. And guess what? When you abdicate on that loan that they give you, because all this is loans. These are not handouts. It's all loans. When you abdicate on the loan in that contract, you have to give them large concessions of land and large concessions of your economy. There's an African country right now. Is it Uganda? There was an African country who defaulted on their loan to the Chinese, and they now own their national airport. I forget which, they own the airport now because they couldn't pay back the loan. The Chinese know what they're doing. The problem we have as African people is we tend to think anybody who's not white is a friend of ours. Nobody is our friend, not the Arab, not the Chinese, not the Latino, except the African Latinos who identify with us, not the East Indians, not the Native Americans. We don't have friends. But black people have been seduced into this multiculturalism, which says the brown man is your friend, the yellow man is your friend, the red man is your friend. No, they're not. Black people don't have no friends. And my greatest fear about Chinese neocolonialism 2.0, my greatest fear about Chinese neocolonialism 2.0 is when the time for revolution comes, because there will be a second revolution because you got to get rid of the Chinese. You're going to have to fight 10 times harder. When you fought to get the white man out in the 60s, in the 40s, in the 50s, it was a little easier because he don't have the numerical strength. The white man had to use other black people in his armies to fight blacks because they're only 10% of the world. They don't have enough. China is the most populous country on the planet Earth. They have 1 billion people, not to mention their reserves around the planet. Okay? Don't get me wrong. African people, we're 2 billion. We're the biggest. The problem is most of us identify something other than black, which reduces our numbers. I'm not African. I'm multiracial. I'm not African. I'm Latino. I'm not African. I'm Samoan. You follow? So we are disintegrated based on these names. Here's the point that I'm making. Because the Chinese have the technology, because the Chinese have the manpower, the second war for African independence, the second revolution for African independence against Chinese neocolonialism 2.0 is going to be 10 times as bloody, 10 times as long, and it's going to require the sacrifice of 10 times as many people. We will not be able to throw them out of Africa and throw them out of the Caribbean as easily as we did the whites. And the whites wasn't easy. That was a hell of a war. So just multiply that by 100. And that's what we're going to have to deal with the Chinese. The worst thing we're doing is giving them all this, and it's being done through the politicians. The politicians are doing it. But here's 3 things that keeps Africa enslaved to the Chinese and the white man by virtue of their politicians. Number 1, we have been distracted in America, the Caribbean, Africa, all over the world. It's a Pan-African problem. We have been distracted from development with democracy. Everybody's focusing on who to vote for. You're not looking at the conditions. What's going to change whether he wins or he wins? Because guess who's financing both of them? The same people stealing your oil. Who's financing both of them? The same people stealing your gold. Who's financing both of them? The same people stealing your coltan. You follow me? So democracy is a joke they play on black people to make you think you can have radical transformation without revolution. The reason the white man pushes democracy globally so hard is if there's ever a breakdown in the black man's confidence in democracy, the only alternative is revolution. So that's number 1. Democracy is a distraction from development. Number 2, when I travel, especially Africa, but it's true in the Caribbean also, black people are more concerned with their tribe being in control than they are with liberation from foreign control. Are you following me? I've seen it. So when the elections is coming up, it's not about freeing us from white supremacy or Chinese imperialism. It's about, are my people going to be the president? Is somebody from my tribe going to be the prime minister? And because they're more concerned about tribal imperialism than African independence, this democratic scheme that they run on black people continues because we're so petty and so small in our thinking. I just want to make sure his people don't get the presidency. I'm not even looking at the bigger picture. The white man knows this. The Chinese know this. So they come in, exploit, finance both sides. So no matter who wins, they get all the resources. And then the third issue is most African leaders and Caribbean are foreign educated. They go to Britain for their education. They go to France for their education. They go to Belgium. They come to America for their education. And what did Dr. Carter G. Woodson say in Miseducation of the Negro? The college-educated Negro is seldom of any use to his race because the education he gets is an education that takes him away from identification with his people. So most of our African and Caribbean and American leaders are Negropean. They have an African body. They have a European mind. So the white man and the yellow man are controlling the black man through remote control by virtue of conscious control of the way that he thinks. The entire thought process of the African leader, there's a few exceptions, but for most of them and the Caribbean, the entire thought process is that of a white man. How can we get free?
Ladies and gentlemen, after watching this video, I want to hear your thought. Do you believe the Jamaican government is making the right decision when it comes to foreigner investment? Or do you think more should be done to protect the interests of ordinary Jamaica? Many citizens have raised concern about land ownership, economic opportunity, and whether foreign companies are benefiting more than local communities. Others argues that international investment is necessary for development and growth. These are important conversations that deserve to be discussed openly and respectfully. No country should tolerate discrimination or unfair treatment of its people. Every investor, regarding a nationality, should respect the law, culture, and citizen of the country in which they operate. Leadership comes within responsibility. The people expect their leader to protect national interests, creating opportunity, and ensure that economic growth benefits everyone, not just privileged few. As a young people, we may not have all the answers, but we have the right to ask questions and demand accountability. Politics can be complicated, but one thing is certain: the voice of ordinary citizens matters. I also believe that strong cooperation between the Caribbean and Africa could create opportunities in the trade, investment, and cultural exchange. Working together, developing a local industry, and building strong partnership could help both regions achieve greater opportunities. Beautiful people, I want to hear from you in the comment section. What do you think about this issue? Is the government heading in the right direction, or do changes needed to be made? Let us know your views below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another discussion. Until we meet again in the next video, stay safe, stay informed, and may God bless Jamaica and the entire Caribbean.